Dear Diary, today I cooked breakfast on the wood stove since we still don't have a stovetop. Just making do with what we've got. Lunch came from the freezer, dinner turned into the most tender ribs fresh from the oven, and dessert? Well, that was the perfect ending. Somewhere between meals, we slipped away to a thrift store and found a few vintage kitchen treasures waiting for a second life. With football season finally coming to an end, we're able to spend more time at a farmhouse. With cooler weather in Virginia, we're finally able to start using our wood stove. My husband and older son were out of town hunting, and that means that I get to start the fire. And I don't know why, but it just makes me feel like I am a superwoman for being able to start my own fire. Once I get the fire going, the very first thing that kids usually ask me in the morning, Mama, what are we having for breakfast? And it's usually what we have in the fridge. And usually two things that I always have in the fridge is milk and kefir. That means that kids can either have two choices. We can either have crepes, which are called Russian blini, thin like pancakes, or we can have oladyi, which is also kind of like pancakes made out of kefir, and they're just smaller in size. Kids informed me that they wanted to eat oladyi this morning, so oladyi it is. Now, what I love about this recipe is not only is it easy to make, it's quick to make, but also it's so delicious and so healthy for you. If you're not familiar with kefir, it's like liquid gold, and it is very good for your health, especially for your gut health. Growing up in Belarus, kefir was something that every family would keep in their fridge. Ingredients for this oladyi are very simple. You have 2 cups of flour, 2 cups of kefir, 2 eggs, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of salt, and about 5 tablespoons of sugar. I have explained in my previous videos why I have a double oven. And this also means that at this time we do not have a stovetop. For my baking business, I do have a little electric 2-eye stovetop, but cooking on it takes forever. So I decided to take matters into my own hands and start to offload all the junk I find at trash and sell it on Facebook Marketplace. My goal is to sell enough junk on Facebook Marketplace to buy me a stovetop by Thanksgiving. And I pray that it will happen.
The hustle is on. I just made $15, sold 2 things, so let's keep on going.
So this morning I decided instead of using my little electric stovetop that I have, I'm gonna try to see if I can make better pancakes and quicker on my wood stove. I will be honest with you, I was a little bit nervous if this is gonna work, but to my surprise, it turned out perfect. You know that oladyi come out perfect when you have a little crunchy ring that goes all around the pancake. And lo and behold, it worked. Today I was reminded of a very valuable lesson that I would like to share with you. Do I want a proper stovetop? Absolutely. Is this little plug-in burner inconvenient? Very. But using what I have, truly using it, reminded me that comfort isn't the only kind of success. Creativity and patience can carry you just as far, and sometimes farther. The fire warmed more than our breakfast today. It humbled me, and it reminded me that resilience isn't old-fashioned. It's timeless. After breakfast, we usually work on a project. A sweet friend and a fellow YouTuber gifted me lots of blackberry plants, so I was on a mission to get it done while we were at home this week. Oh, and I also needed to go vote early. Since we're stationed a few hours away from our home, I wasn't sure if we're going to be in Virginia on voting day, so I want to make sure to get it done. And right not far from the voting center, we have a little thrift store that I enjoy visiting every so often. The prices are usually hit and miss, so sometimes I walk out with many items and sometimes I walk out empty-handed. Well, during this trip, I walked out with lots of items, like this really cool German tool that looks like it hasn't been opened, that apparently you make something similar to pasta. I will try it soon and share the results with you. Guys, look at this. You know what this is? Because I did not know until I actually had to Google and search. But this is ice crusher. I guess back in the days it was mounted to the wall, and it looks in a pretty good condition. Look at it inside. Look at that. What does it say? It says the model number, and then look at the inside. Oops. Let's try this again. It looks like it's not rusted or anything. I'm actually just curious to see how it crushes ice. So I don't know, should I get it? Do I need more stuff? But it's so cool. It's like vintage. And it has a history, right? And it has little parts inside that I guess you can mount to the wall. Maybe I should get it. One more thing to add to my decor, right? When on the farm, our kids love spending time outside. And after spending some time carving pumpkins, I ended up with lots of pumpkin seeds. Now, our chickens would have gladly enjoyed these seeds, but I've read somewhere that pumpkins are very good for your health. They're high in magnesium, they're good for your immune system, so I decided to just give a try at roasting them, and they did not disappoint. It actually turned out pretty tasty. So I decided to just store them in a jar and for all of us to enjoy it for like snack time. Before cooking lunch, I wanted to go ahead and put our dinner in the oven. So I wanted something easy, and one of my go-to easy meals is baby back ribs. And all you do is you put aluminum foil down, you put your ribs on top, and then sprinkle very generously with barbecue rub. Cover them with aluminum foil and then stick it in the oven at 300 for 3 hours. So we're cooking them low and slow. For lunch, my kids asked if I would make Russian pelmeni, which is kind of like meat raviolis. This is hands down my kids' absolutely favorite meal. This is the kind of meal I try to keep in a freezer, but it usually does not last very long. So a few days before, I've made a few batches to keep in the freezer, and kids asked if we could have it today for lunch. The best part about this recipe, it's only 3 ingredients: water, flour, and a pack of breakfast sausage. I usually use Aldi brand sausage, so this meal cost me less than $4 to feed my whole family of 6 people. Our pelmeni are ready, and the way that I grew up eating in Belarus and the way now my children eat is I boil them. We're gonna drain water. We add a little bit of butter. We're gonna put it on top. Our butter will melt. We mix it up and it is ready to go. It is so good, so filling, so inexpensive. And what's so good about pelmeni is that you can add it to your soups. You can make with all kinds of dishes that you wanna add a little extra meat to it. Let me tell you, this dish will not disappoint you or your wallet. Is that enough? Is that too much? Careful.
Mom, what's these? Hot.
Before you know, the 3 hours were up and my ribs were ready to come out from the oven. Now what you're supposed to do next is to slather them with your favorite barbecue sauce. We prefer the sweet kind, like brown sugar barbecue sauce, but honestly you can use whatever your family enjoys. And then, this is the best part. You select broil function on your oven, and which warms up the temperature to about like 500, 550. Then you put your ribs in, open, do not cover them, and it caramelizes the top of your barbecue sauce. And these barbecue ribs become finger-licking good. I am not kidding y'all. They are so delicious, and the meat just falls off the bones. Honestly, they're as good as any barbecue ribs you get at a restaurant, but much cheaper. So little confession here, one of my toxic traits is watching recipes on social media, saving them, and then trying them when I do have time. So I wanted to make some sort of potato side dish to go with my ribs. And I saw this recipe for what looked like very crispy potatoes. And what you do, you peel your potatoes, cook them, then let them steam dry, meaning you just leave them sitting until they dry out a little bit after they finish cooked and after you straining them. You fill your pan generously with oil, put it in the oven, let it warm up, and then you pour your cooked potatoes on top. Then they're supposed to cook in the oven for about 30 to 40 minutes, and voila, you're supposed to have crispy potatoes. Well, that was not quite the case for me. After 40 minutes, they did not look anywhere like they were crispy on the video. So I kept on adding more time. I kept on flipping them so they would brown on both sides. And after about an hour and a half, I just gave up. We got them out and enjoyed them half crispy. Now my kids really like the crispy ones, but honestly, in my opinion, it's just not worth the effort. Next time I would just roast my potatoes. But on a side note, the ribs were amazing. So good. Now I'll be honest with you, I do not make dessert every night. We wanted something sweet, but also something that's quick and easy. I had a package of puff pastry in my fridge that I originally was going to use for another recipe. Also, I had a few packages of mascarpone cheese in my fridge because Aldi now with the holiday season is now starting to carry it again, and it's very affordable. So I decided to make little puff pastry tarts that I have made quite a few times before. You take the puff pastry from the fridge, leave it on the counter for about 20 minutes. You then unfold the dough, and I use my biscuit cutters to stamp circles. You use the fork to poke the dough, and that is so you can control the puffiness of your pastry. Then brush the top of the pastry with egg yolk and then sprinkle with a sugar called turbinado. I use the Sugar in the Raw brand. You can get it in any grocery store. Put your pastry in the oven for about 10 minutes. They cook quite quickly. And while it's cooking, you can make the strawberry, sauce or jam. Use about 1.5 cups of frozen strawberries. I usually add about 1/4 cup of sugar. I don't like it overly sweet. And then you just mix it together and cook it down until your strawberries become soft. Once strawberries become soft, I add cornstarch mixture to it, and it's about 2 tablespoons of water to 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. Once you add it, just kind of watch it because it thickens quite quickly. And once you see it starting to bubble up, take it off the heat, put it in a little container, let it come to cool off to room temperature, and I usually then move it to the fridge to get it a little bit cool. Then I move on to making mascarpone frosting. In a mixer, you mix 1 container of mascarpone cheese with about 1/2 cup of powdered sugar. Once you mix mascarpone cheese and powdered sugar well together, you slowly add a cup of very cold, heavy whipping cream. Mix everything in the mixer together until stiff peaks formed, and that's it. The frosting is ready. Once your tarts and strawberry filling has cooled off, you can now assemble your tarts together. Now, in a separate pan, I have also cooked the leftovers of the puff pastry, and once that cooled off, I decided I'll just use it and make it like deconstructed tarts. My bottom layer was the leftover of the puff pastry that's been cooked. Then I topped it with strawberry sauce, and then on top I added whipped cream or my mascarpone frosting. Y'all have to try this dessert. It is so incredibly delicious and takes very few ingredients and no time to make it. As I enjoyed the last few bites of my dessert, the sun dipped low and the farm settled into quiet. The chickens found their roost, and I swept the kitchen floors, not because they were perfect, but because they were lived in. Sometimes the simplest routines feels like the richest blessings. A clean floor, a warm stove, and a day spent using what we have with a grateful heart. The fire is loaded, the house is cozy, and the night wraps around us gentle and still. Until tomorrow, see you on the next page.